This is Redneck Reloader. I'm making this video today. I do this occasionally. I make a video that is not reloading related, and that's what this one is. So if you're interested in the reloading videos, bear with me. You can skip over this one. I'll be shooting another reloading video this week and releasing it. But this one is actually about ham radio. I am a member of a group which is involved in preparedness, and I've made quite a few training videos for them, most of them medically related, first aid, individual first aid kits and things like that. But I've also made one for them for radios. A lot of them this year got very interested in learning to reload. They also got very interested in getting their ham radio licenses. There was some crossover with my friends. I thought there might be some crossover with my internet friends. So I thought some of you may be interested in this subject as well. And so I decided to take that video that I made for them and release it on YouTube. It's not as polished, and I can't believe I'm saying this because none of my videos are polished, but this one was never intended for YouTube. It was really just for my close friends. So overlook the quality. It's a little dark, but it was kind of the way I had to film it. And the voice is kind of low because I made it early in the morning and my wife was still awake and I didn't want to wake her up. So, but I think it's certainly watchable. I got pretty good feedback from my friends on it. But specifically what it's concerning is this is a Baofeng UV-5R. This is a very low cost introductory ham radio from China. I gave about $25 for this, and I even got the nifty camouflage one, and it came with a recharging base. So they're very affordable, and it's a very good way to get started in the ham radio. These are very versatile. You can see there's a lot of keypads. You can do a lot of programming, different channels in this, like FRS and GMRS, and a number of different radio frequencies that you can program into this. You can program it by hand, but there's a lot of work that goes into this. So the preferred way to do it is to use a software program. And there's one that's called Chirp. It's free to use. You can download it. You have to buy a cable, such as this one. This is a very inexpensive cable. I paid around $3 for this. One end of it is made to plug into the Baofeng. There's a little rubber cover you flip back. And then this two-prong connector plugs in here. And the other end of it plugs into your computer. And you can use Chirp to download programming into the radio as well as download programming from the radio. And that's what this video is all about. I'm going to show you how to do that with Chirp and how to set up some of the different channels. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy. This morning I'm playing with my Baofeng and adding some frequencies to the radio. I've seen a few discussions last couple of weeks about setting up the Baofengs, and so I just thought, what the heck, this morning while I'm doing this, I'll just get my camera out, make a short little video, show you how I do it. Might help somebody out. So first you have to install Chirp, and that's a fairly straightforward process. It's literally, if you have a Windows computer, just going and clicking on the install file and it will install itself, basically. So that's fairly easy. I won't get into that part. The second is you've got to have a cable to connect to your radio. So I've got one here. Now they recommend getting like the official Baofeng cable, which is like 20 bucks. I don't have that. The cheaper cables are, I think I paid $3 or $4 for mine, but it's not the official one. They'll still work if you can get the right drivers for them. So the cable looks like this. Mine actually says Baofeng on it, but it's not an official Baofeng cable. And then the other end looks like this. This is obviously the part that plugs into your radio, and that's a USB connector. So you flip this up and that plugs in there, and make sure it's pushed in there good and firm. And then you turn your radio to a channel that doesn't have anything on it and turn the volume all the way up. And then you can plug the cable into the computer. Now, the first time you do this, the trick is going to be getting the right drivers installed. A lot of the cheaper knockoff cables use what they call a prolific driver. Mine does not. If you look at, if you go into devices and printers, and down here for my serial, there, mine says USB serial CH340, and then it's COM10. That just tells me which port it's on. But that CH340 tells me which driver I needed. And then I just did a quick Google search for CH340 driver, downloaded it, and the trouble marker went away and everything worked fine. So I'd say you could do the same thing for the prolific driver. So if you do end up with one of the cheaper cables, if you can just get the right driver, it'll work fine. So once you have the radio turned on, the volume all the way up, and you have it plugged in, you can open up Chirp. When you open up Chirp, this is what it's going to look like. And I'll turn just a little bit so it gets in the whole screen here. Okay, when you open up Chirp, it's going to look like this. It's going to be blank, and you're just going to have a few headers up here: File, Edit, View, Radio, and Help. You have to have something in here to work with, so you can download what's already in the memory for your radio, and that'll give you something to start working with. So to do that, you go up here and click on Radio, and click on Download from Radio. Now you're going to get this box, and this is where you select your port, your vendor, and your model. So in this case, mine's selected, but I'll show you how. You hit the drop down menu here and you select COM10. You will select whichever port yours is plugged into. And then for vendor, you can select whatever type of radio you have, and you can see there's a lot of different models here, but I'm selecting the Baofeng. And then you select your model. I've got the UV-5R. Click on OK. And now this is going to give you some instructions, which I've already told you. Turn the radio on, turn it all the way up, make sure it's on a channel with no activity. So you can click that box if you don't want to see those anymore. I'll just leave them up. Click on OK. And now it says cloning. And if you look at the radio, the red light's flashing. Right now it's downloading the memory that's in the radio to Chirp. Okay, now that's completed. You see we've got some stuff in here. So these are all the memory locations. And I kind of went through and deleted all mine for this video just to kind of show you a more basic setup when you first do this the first time. That location 0, that one is one that you don't modify. That's actually... as I understand it, that's for the FM radio. You know, when you switch it to FM, there's an initial channel that comes up, and that's what that channel's for. So we just leave that one alone. But you've got from 1 up to, I think it holds 127, something like that. There's 2 tabs over here, Memories and Settings. You want to go into the settings first. This is all your basic settings for the radio. So this is a squelch level. I've got mine set on 1 right now. You may have to set it higher depending on where you're at. I'm pretty far here in the country, so I really don't get too much. So I keep it down on 1 so I can pick up remote signals. There's battery saver, backlight timeout. You want to shut that beep off because it's annoying. Also down here at the bottom, the Roger beep. That's the one that beeps when you let go of the push to talk switch every time. Everyone will appreciate you if you turn that off. This stuff, it's pretty well set up. One thing I'll say to change is the display mode A and display mode B. When you look at the front of the radio, there's 2 frequencies displayed, channel A and channel B. You have the option to monitor 2 channels at a time. I suggest you turn that off and just work with 1. And I'll show you how to do that when we get to the setting for that. But this is what they display. So for A, I suggest you put name. It's probably going to be frequency for start with, but if you put name, it's a lot easier to remember what channel you're on. And B, I just leave mine on frequency. these are just the colors you can change for the display. Like when I've got mine set up so when it's on standby, the display is blue. When it goes to receive, it turns to orange, and when you transmit, it turns to purple. You don't have to fool with those if you don't want to. Advanced settings over here. This dual watch, you want to make sure that's not enabled. That's where you can monitor 2 channels at one time. You can always add that later on if you want to, but starting out, I'd say you want to shut that off. And then the voice, set that to English when you first get your radio. If it's a Baofeng, it's going to be set to Chinese. Unless you speak Chinese, I guess you're going to want to change that to English. The rest of the stuff, I wouldn't fool with. Other settings. There's some stuff you can play on here, like a power on message when you first turn it on. You can program your own little custom message to come up on the screen or whatever. I would leave all that stuff alone. I'm just looking through and seeing if there's anything else I would recommend changing. This FM radio preset, that's the FM channel. If you hit the button and switch it into FM radio mode to listen to FM radio, that is the channel that will come up. You can change that if you want to. Rest of this stuff I would just leave alone. So then you go back up here to memories. Now here's where we want to put our channels in. So the Chirp makes it really easy to do this. So if you go up here to radio and click on it, this gives you some options. And you can go down to import from stock config. And these are a whole bunch of channels and that are pre-programmed that you can stick in there. And the nice thing about these is these are actually saved in Chirp memory, so you don't have to be connected to the internet to do this part of it. So you can go down and do US MERS channels. Click on that, and this will bring up this window. This shows the channels, to, from, and the name that will be displayed, and the frequency. So in this case, we do want to import all these channels, and this is offering to put them in locations 1 through 5, which is good for me. I'm fine with that. If you want to change these locations, then you can, there's a bar down here that says adjust new location. So let's say 1 through 5 was full, and we want to move these channels up to a higher channel. If we just sit here and hit +1, you can see that it moves all these channel locations up 1. And we can click it all we wanted to, and if we wanted to, we could move them to where they're going from channels 6 through 10. Or if we hit -1, we can bring them back to 1 through 5. Or if we wanted to move well ahead, you could hit the +10, and that'll move them all up 10. So you can go 11 through 15, 21 through 25, etc. Or you could subtract it. So here's where you can just click down here and pick what channels you want them on. You can also change the name at this point. Now, these MERS channels are used to be 3 to start with, and then they pulled in 2 more, and my understanding those were some business class channels they decided to import. So you can kind of see the difference in the frequencies. The first 3 start with 151, these 2 are 154s, and traditionally I guess they were named blue dot and green dot, so this kind of carries that over. But now they're actually called MERS 4 and MERS 5, and I want to change that. So you can click on that box and highlight it, and then you can type in the new name and change it. Same with this one. So we got those all changed, so now we want to import them. So I'm going to hit OK, and there, it pulls them in. So now from locations 1 through 5, we got the MERS channels. If we go back to radio, and so go to import from stock config again, we can go down here, and this is the FRS channels and the GMRS channels. And I want to go ahead and pull all of those in too. Now, you can see this is set to put them in locations 1 through 5, But you see those are kind of grayed out because those memory locations are full. So we want to bump these up and start them at channel 6. So we're going to go down here and hit +1 until we're now going from channel 6 up to channel 57. And the names all look good. I'm not going to change anything with those. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And that pulls all those in. So now in my memory here, I've got the MERS channels in the first 5 slots, and then the FRS channels, and then the GMRS channels. And I'm up to number 57 for my memories. And all of this stuff over here, the duplex and mode and offset and all that, that'll automatically set that up for you. You don't have to worry about that. Now the last thing we want to do is if you want to put in repeaters. So to do that, you go up here to radio, go down to import from data source, and this time we're going to go to repeater book. And now this is a website, so you have to be connected to the internet to do this part. Now there's 2 choices, either a political query or a proximity query. You can get to the same place using either one, but I prefer the political query for this. So select that, you select your state, and you select your county. Now I put Shelby County in because I want to grab that Shelbyville repeater that Ken has been active on and banned. Now this particular radio only works on the 2-meter band and the 70-centimeter band. But if you get down into this, it only allows you to select one band, and I want to see them all on both of those bands. So your only option is select all and click on OK. And here's the repeaters that come up. So the one that I want is this one, Shelbyville, Jeptanam. So I'm going to unselect the other 3. Now this is trying to send it to memory location 3. I want to put it on 57. So I'm going to go down here and hit +10. Now that brings me up to 53, and then I'm going to hit +1 until I get to 57. Okay, now I want to change the name because I'm not going to know what KB4PTJ is. So I'm going to select here, and I'm going to pick something I'll remember. Now you can put 7 characters in here. If you put anything more than that, the radio's not going to display them, only the first 7. So I'm going to put in SHLB, and then I'm going to put a space, which counts as a character, and then Jeptanam, JK. So that will tell me that that is the repeater. And then if you leave it like this, when you import it, that will not change the name because you haven't saved it yet. So you have to click off of it. And now it's saved in there. So now when I hit OK, and it imports it, there it is. So that's a frequency. That's the name that I put in there. Now, this stuff you don't have to fool with, but what it is when you're dealing with repeater, it's got this CTCCS tone that's got to be set, and this, if you do it this way, you don't have to program that in because it's already pulled in there. But that's a tone, that's a frequency. There's an offset. In this case, it's +5, and then your transmit power. I've got it on high on all. You can change it if you wanted to do it on low. You can click on that, and you can use this drop down, and you can switch it. And you can do that to any of these fields in here if you want to change anything. So that's it. We've got it set. So now I'm going to do 2 things. One is I want to save this because if something happens on the radio, if it gets scrambled, or if I want to change something later on, I want to save this memory. So I'm going to go up here to File and do Save As. And I'm just going to put it on my desktop. And this is kind of the default name that comes up, Baofeng UV-5R, and then the date. I'm just going to change it to, I'll do radio. I'm going to do test because I'm going to add some more repeaters in this. And then I'm going to click on save. And now it's saved in Chirp. but we haven't saved it to the radio. So if you remember up at the top, when we hit radio, download from radio, well, now we want to upload to radio. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to hit upload to radio, and you're going to get the same screen up. Everything's going to be pre-selected from when you did it before, so you have to click on OK, and you're going to get the same instruction screen if you didn't click this box off. And then you click OK, and you see it's saying cloning. Now if you look at the radio, the green light's flashing like crazy. And this is copying those channels into the radio. Boom, that's it. Now we're done. Now if I close it out and I unhook my cable. Alright, so now that's that Shelbyville repeater we put in. Okay. Shelbyville JK, and if you look to the right of that, it says 57. That is the location. And then go the other way. There's all your GMRS channels we put in. And if you keep going up, you'll get into the FRS channels, and then if you keep going up through all those, you'll get into the merge channels. And that's it. That's how you program your radio using Chirp. So thanks, y'all. Have a great day. God bless.